Robbie Williams Rewind.
Welcome to Robbie Williams Rewind. We are the champions. I'm Matt.
And I'm Lucy.
And along with help from special guest fans, we take you on an in-depth rewind through the solo career of multi-award-winning singer, songwriter and entertainer, Robert Peter Williams.
This week we'll be looking at all the B-sides that appeared on the singles taken from Life Through a Lens. So this week we've got my lovely friend Katie.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for joining us, Katie.
So we met in 2014 at Swings Both Ways in Belfast, I think, in the queue there.
Yeah.
And you also met Robbie that day, didn't you?
Very briefly, yes.
So what made you a Robbie fan, Katie?
So I was always a fan of Take That. And I guess when they split up, I started following all of them, even Robbie, in their kind of solo careers. I spent all my pocket money on all the individual fan clubs, which luckily didn't last very long because it cost me too much money. And then Robbie really was the first one that kind of went out touring, kind of post Take That. And because he'd been in Take That, that was it. I needed to go and see him. And my dad kind of brought me my first ticket to see him. And it kind of escalated from there.
And have you got a favourite album or song?
Oh, God, start with the tough questions. I like all the albums for lots of different reasons. The early ones, so Life Through a Lens, makes me really nostalgic. It just really reminds me of kind of that period, because I used to listen to it all the time. Favourite song? Probably Come Undone. Tied with a bit of a random one, but Sexed Up.
Oh, I love Sexed Up as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's one
great
of my
song.
favourites.
Love his vocal on that one. But yeah, probably Come Undone, I reckon.
And have you got any favourite memories or moments that you would like to share?
Oh my goodness, so many. I mean, you've been there. You guys have been there for some of them as well. Hyde Park a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
that
was great.
Awesome gig. And again, made me feel quite nostalgic in the facts, kind of the way that it was staged and everything. It reminded me kind of massively of the late 90s. I think one of my standouts...
It was like another Nebworth, really.
It was, yeah. And it was almost like the form that he'd been on in Nebworth as well. That I felt like we'd kind of not really seen for quite a long time, because it had been much smaller venues in a way. And it was just such a great gig. I loved that gig so much. I think one of the standouts was actually one of the Swing tour, and it was that opening night in Belfast.
Oh, that's amazing!
It wasn't really, it was so good, and it was no one knew what was coming with the show. And I just remember
I
was, yes, yeah. The inner circle, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I was at the general admission barrier for the first night. I think we were together in the pit in the second night.
And I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's right. You missed out, Matt. And do you remember he covered Shout?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember he was singing that, and I think he was walking around the walkway at the time. And I was there with quite a few of the Irish girls that come up from Dublin, who I've known for a really long time. And I remember everybody just having the time of their lives. And I just really clearly remember thinking, this is brilliant. This is why I love this. This is why I love coming to these gigs. Yeah. Because it was just, everybody was just up for a party. And it was just brilliant. Just, I don't know why. And he wasn't even on stage in front of me. Like I say, he's around the walkway. But I just remember looking around and everybody was just dancing and just having a great time. And I thought, this is why I do this.
The atmosphere in those Irish gigs was amazing. And I think that's why he came out and met people out the back on the Saturday, the day after the first one, because he so enjoyed the night before.
Yeah, completely.
Did he? He's never released Shout, has he?
No.
That was just a live track.
Yeah. What does Robbie mean to you?
There's another broad question for you.
You don't have to answer that one.
Answer that how you will.
I always joke with people. I'm always saying that he's like the most loyal man in my life because I've loved him since I was about 9 years old.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess so. He's always just been a constant, really. It'd be the same
Yeah.
for you, I guess, Lucy, as well.
Yeah, since I
it's
was
just
15.
someone that's always been kind of part of who you are, I guess. And I think now, I guess probably from the swing tour, you would have noticed it as well, you know, the kind of with the queuing and all that sort of stuff. That's when that really picked up, I think. But I think you got to know so many people during that tour. I did especially. And they're people now that become kind of constants in my life, like friends. You know, they're not just kind of Robbie friends, as we always call each other. You know, you guys are like actual friends, and you know, people that you meet up with, not just for a Robbie gig or seeing a queue. And I think that's probably been the best thing that's come out of it for me, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
We were talking about that on the first episode, actually. How it's a community. You know, people that just look out for each other. And I think when you go through thick and thin, sleeping on the side of the road, queuing for gigs, you know,
You really
you
get
go
to know
through these
people.
shared experiences, let alone the actual gig itself.
You definitely see people's lows as well as their highs.
Oh yeah, you see all extremes,
exactly.
don't you?
Yeah.
And I guess you spend longer we spend longer in the queue than we do in the actual gig. So
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we do anyway.
We've learned how to make the best of it.
Matt, was Swing your first one, was it?
Which one did
Nebworth we went to together.
Nebworth together was the first one, yeah.
But that wasn't the first time he saw Robbie. He saw Robbie before that, but he can't remember when it was.
Nebworth was the first time that we properly saw him together, but I have a feeling that I might have gone to a concert in London, maybe, but yeah.
But
It's a bit
well, I
hazy.
know that when I met Matt in 2001, he had already seen Robbie in concert, but he can't remember when or where it was.
Well, it's possibly the toilet tour, wasn't it?
But we worked out it was possibly the toilet tour, yeah.
It's just not called
The toilet tour,
but
as it shall hence be known.
Yeah.
So where was that, in the Docklands or?
We think that was Wembley Arena.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, thank you for asking me that question. But I do have a few other stories to share during this podcast of when I did see him in the early days.
Yeah.
Some of which I can remember.
So, should we go on to looking at some of the songs that we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
We'll start off with Better Days, because that was a B-side to Old Before I Die, his first real single. Because obviously Freedom didn't have any B-sides on it. It was just remixes and an interview, I think. So Better Days is written by Robbie and Guy. And I have found no information out about that song whatsoever. When you look it up, you can't find any facts on it at all. So we can just give our thoughts on what we think of that song.
I've got some facts that are not Robbie related.
Okay, go on then.
Well, when you research Better Days, there are many, many, many artists that have called their songs Better Days, including Bruce Springsteen. He had a song called Better Days in 1992. I'm not saying this is why Robbie did it. And also One Republic released a song called Better Days last year in 2020. So there you go. That's all I got on it.
Well,
Fun facts with Matt.
Detailed research.
so I like the song, but it's not one of my favourites from that era. It's quite cool, sort of Britpop, Oasis style, I think. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, definitely. I was listening back to them earlier, and it's definitely got that Britpop influence. But I think a lot haven't they, on that set, those B-sides from kind of those few first singles. Yeah, I've actually still got the CD, the original CD. I think I bought it in Woolworths.
I've still got it in a CD rack in the lounge.
It's still there.
See, I'm not the only one.
No. But there are some good lines, some good lyrics in that song.
Yeah. What do you like?
Well, my guitar is out of tune, even that's highly strung. And he did say in an Insta Live last year that he hates that lyric. Someone suggested it as a good lyric when he was asking for good lyrics. And he said, I hate that one. oh, that's really crap. I'm like really embarrassed about that line now. And he started going on about how much he hated it. I think it's quite a good lyric.
Yeah.
I wonder if he can remember the song, as soon as he's so good at remembering
Probably.
He does need a little bit of help sometimes with the lyrics. Yes, true.
Yes.
Have you got any standout lines from that song that you like?
Not really, no. Like you, it's kind of, if it's on, I'll listen, but it's not one of the B-sides that's really up there for me.
Yeah, same.
There's one standout lyric, "Gonna leave the country."
No.
Had he left the country by that point?
No, he hadn't, no.
Was that prophetic, do you think?
Yeah, it was.
Well, or not just prophetic, he just wanted to.
Just wanted out.
Yeah.
But I think it's basically a song about a relationship breaking down and realising they don't have anything to say to each other anymore.
Yeah.
There's a few other lines which made me laugh. Maybe I didn't love you. Maybe you loved me less. Would you have preferred it if I had have worn the dress?
Mm.
Probably one of the first songs that Robbie and Guy wrote, I imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, should we move on to the next song?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, let's talk about Average B-side. So this was the B-side to Old Before I Die, and it was written by Robbie and Kevin King. The only composition credit that we could find for Kevin is on this one song. And we even reread the interview that Robbie gave to The Face magazine in August 95. And that was the first interview that he gave after leaving Take That. And it does actually mention a friend called Kevin who reminded Robbie of the embarrassing things he'd done the night before whilst drunk. Probably took a while. Which included calling up Declan Donnelly's girlfriend to tell her the latest episode of her sitcom was crap, apparently. And we wonder if that's the friend that he wrote this with. We wonder, as we can't find any more information on him. What do you think, Liz?
Well, it's possible because it's just some friend called Kevin, and this Kevin's only written one song. Maybe he did write it with him.
Do you know Kevin, Katie?
Not personally, no, Matt. I mean, maybe he just needed to write that one song, and that was it. He was done. Got it out of his system, Kevin.
Yeah.
Didn't need to write anymore.
He's probably not even that bloke at all, but, it makes a good story.
No, it's a theory, isn't it? Allegedly. So what do you think about the song then?
Well, this is one of my all-time favourite B-sides. I love this song. And I don't know why it wasn't included on In and Out of Consciousness. It should have been there, I think. What do you think?
I really like this song. I don't think it should have been a B-side. Ironically enough, I don't think it should have been a B-side because I really like it. Yeah.
Katie?
Yeah, I'm with you, Lucy. This is one of my favourites as well.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the pre-chorus, when he says, because she said that you said that I said, she said that I said, the love's dead. I mean, come on, lyric.
Great lyric.
And also, he says, I think he's got a great voice, like his vocal sounds really good on the song. And in the chorus, he says, rockin' roller coaster, an emotional ride. And this is where I mention my roller coaster story. Because whenever I hear that lyric, the rockin' roller coaster, I think of the rockin' roller coaster in Disney World, which Matt forced me to go on, and which I came off basically crying because I hated it that much.
This is a true story. Forced is a strong word. I didn't exactly force you into the seat and strap you in there. We both got into the ride. And then you did get a Donald Duck afterwards to try and console the crying.
But
You've just about got over it now, haven't
it
you?
was because we went on the Tower of Terror straight afterwards, and I hated that as well. And so those two rides combined have caused me to never go on a roller coaster again.
So this song brings back fond memories of the rock and roll.
I was about to say, just when you hear this song, does it remind you of that, traumatic time in your life?
It does, yeah. Just when I hear those words.
But it's still my favourite song.
Yeah, I still love it. I love the guitars, the drums, the whole sound of the song.
Mm.
And at the end, how he's kind of doing his own backing vocals over the lyrics.
Yeah.
What do you like about it, Katie?
I think it's a bit like we kind of said on the previous one. It's that kind of whole, you could hear the Britpop influence in it. And I just love the lyrics of this one. And like you guys, I don't know why we never heard it more. It kind of got lost, didn't it, as a B-side.
Yeah. Like, why? I don't think he's ever sung it live, has he?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he did. Like I say, it kind of got lost in the kind of wilderness, I think.
The lyrics are really clever. I think it's just a really clever song, and I really like the intro as well. There's just that simple guitar strumming at the beginning, and like you said, Lucy, the she said that you said that I said. It actually is very high. I mean, we've commented on this before, that he's singing it in quite a high sort of range for quite a lot of it as well. I think his voice has changed, hasn't it, over the years? So
basically, we're saying he won't be able to sing it live.
Probably be difficult to sing in the same key.
That's why we've never heard it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I have to mention here is that I'm sure it was when we were doing our research for this, we've had to explain to our 13-year-old and our 10-year-old what a B-side actually is or was.
Yeah.
Because they kind of don't really exist anymore. Not in the classic sense anyway, do they?
No.
I guess they're like bonus tracks now, I guess, on albums maybe? I don't know. Do they? Yeah. Can you still buy CDs?
No, you can't. Not CD singles, no.
No. So that's average B-side. Let's move on to Lucy, Making Plans for Nigel.
Yeah. So Making Plans for Nigel is a cover, originally by the band XTC, which is the letters XTC, written by Colin Moulding of the band. And the lyrics were written from the point of view of his parents, who are certain that, just parents, who are certain that their son Nigel was happy in his work at British Steel.
Yeah.
Which is a bit random.
Yep.
And it marked XTC's commercial breakthrough in 1979. It hit number 17 and was in the top 40 for 11 weeks. So it was probably quite a big song in the 70s. And this was a B-side to Old Before I Die.
Yeah, I looked at XTC, and I think you've looked at the video as well. And I don't know whether you know this, but after the XTC released the song, 100,000 steelworkers went on strike.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because I think it was about people being forced into good jobs that they didn't necessarily want to be in, and, you know, that's a good job, go and do that. That's my assumption. I don't know.
Random.
Yeah. And then British Steel, I think they responded with putting four British steel workers on television saying about how great their career was or something. So it was quite a political statement at the time, I think.
Okay.
But I'm sure, you know, maybe Robbie wasn't really that worried about the steel industry when he covered it.
No. So I think that he covered it as a dig to Nigel Martin Smith. Don't you, Katie?
Yeah. Yeah, completely. Completely.
Why?
It's the right era. Still in that little period of, you know, a little bit angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think.
So found a song that just fitted the dig that was needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he used a lot of his music at that time for that sort of thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
Making a statement.
And the line, we're only making plans for Nigel, we only want what's best for him. I think that's just a dig at Nigel. It was all about what Nigel wanted when he was in Take That. And poor Robbie didn't get a say. Couldn't have any girlfriends.
I guess there's some parallels to the original song, because the original song is about you go and get a career in a good place. You will be happy, won't you? You know, kind of carry on. It's all okay. Why would you moan?
Yeah.
So similar, you know?
It's true.
Did you watch XTC's video?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Was it set in an asylum?
Yeah, it could have been.
Because there's like lots
weird.
I don't know if you've seen it, Katie, but there's lots of people walking around in white coats, and they put this guy in a corner with electrodes on his head, and it's all very strange. It was 1979, after all. Yeah.
But Robbie's version is not as weird as the original version. I think his is a bit more Britpop style. Much better, I'd say.
I feel like I need to go and listen to the original because I don't think I've ever heard it.
No, I hadn't before until I was doing this research, and I thought, oh, have a listen to it, and it was very strange. Yeah,
it's not all that dissimilar. I think the lyrics are the same.
Oh, the same,
aren't they?
yeah, but it's just the way they sing it, and
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to watch it with a video.
Yeah.
But you reckon that's definitely about Nigel Martin Smith? That's your theories on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did change one of the lyrics, though. It says he has his future in a fist of steel. But obviously, the original was he has his future in British steel. But I guess Robbie didn't want to be singing about British steel.
Fist of steel.
But Nigel did have Robbie's future in a fist of steel, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Allegedly. I'm also the legal advisor on this podcast.
Yeah, we don't want to get ourselves in trouble.
Is that a song that you play often, Katie? Making Plans for Nigel?
Yes, and I might now listen a bit more with a new twist of British steel industry thoughts in the back of my head.
You know, the fascinating things you find out on Robbie Williams' Rewind podcast.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about.
Well, I mean, obviously when the CD came out, Before I Die, there was CD1 and CD2, and CD1 had Advert B-side and Better Days on it, and CD2 Making Plans for Nigel and Kooks. So obviously I listened to Robbie's songs more than this one with the cover versions. What about you?
I have to say I always listen to the B-side more than the main single.
Oh, right. So you always listened to Advert B-side more than Before I Die?
Yeah. Yeah. I love the like a lot of the B-sides that we're talking about today for me were some of them were better than the singles. I don't know. And like I say, a lot of them I listened to quite a lot of them when I was travelling and things, and I put all the B-sides on as well, just so I'd make sure I had enough to last me. And I always found I'd come back to those ones. Like I say, I think it's that Britpop era. You know, it was kind of I just left school and that was the music at the time, and I think he kind of really tapped into that with these B-sides.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, should we move on to Kooks?
Yeah.
Why don't we move on to Kooks, Lucy?
Which was obviously the other B-side to Before I Die, along with Making Plans for Nigel. There's a cover, originally performed and written by David Bowie. It appeared on his 1971 album Hunky Dory, and it was written to his newborn son, Duncan Jones, born the 30th of May, 1971. If you listen to the lyrics, you can really tell that David wrote it to his son. David recorded it for a BBC in-concert radio show on the 3rd of June, 1971, before even the studio version had been recorded.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little interesting fact there. And apparently it's a pastiche of early 1970s Neil Young, because David was listening to him when news reached him of his son's birth. And I found that interesting. It obviously meant he wasn't there at the son's birth.
Yeah.
But then one of my brothers was born in 1971. I don't think my dad was there either. He was getting drunk and being fired.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Could be a song in that.
And my mum was in the hospital ward waiting to show their son off to my dad. He staggered through the hospital ward drunk because he'd just been fired. But he didn't tell her for 2 weeks till she came out of hospital.
Ooh.
Anyway, that's a different story.
Yes.
Great story.
So I hadn't really heard Kooks before, like David's version, before Robbie covered it.
No, I hadn't.
Because I wasn't really a big David Bowie fan.
I kind of always have been, but I don't think it's one of his mainstream songs that reach the greatest hits and those kind of things. So how about you, Katie? Had you heard it before?
No, I heard Robbie's version before. I listened to the Bowie version, there are differences, aren't there? But then the kind of
Yeah.
there are some of it's very similar. But I think David Bower's is definitely more 70s.
Yeah. His one's sort of quite kind of mental in a way. Like it's got more instruments in it, all doing different things at different times. Like you can hear a section of piano, section of strings, section of trumpet, that kind of thing.
Almost experimental, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Bowie was always very experimental, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I love the band, the Kooks. You know the Kooks?
Yeah, I can't really remember them.
Or did. And they were actually named after Bowie's Kooks song as well.
Oh, were they? Oh.
And then I was like, well, what's a kook? Like, you use the word kooky, and I don't know, I do sometimes, but apparently it is a mad or eccentric person.
Oh.
There you go, another interesting factoid for you.
Okay.
Do you think I'm right there, Katie?
I think
Don't know the dictionary.
I'm loving these facts. I feel we're probably all a little bit kooky.
Yeah. Eccentric rather than mad, I think, is probably a better way of saying it.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of this track as well. You know, just kind of acoustic and Robbie.
Yeah. I like the way he sings some of the lyrics. Like, I'm not much cop at fighting other people's dads. I like the way he sings that bit. David sings it in a funny way like that as well, but David says punching other people's dads.
Oh, right.
This is another of my favourite B-sides, this one. I just think his lyric is and his voice is so good on this one. And it's one of those tunes that you listen to and you've got to go around your head for the rest of the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you got anything else to say about Kooks, Katie, before we move on?
No, I just think it's lovely.
Lovely. Brilliant.
He does sing it very beautifully.
He does, yes.
Yeah.
Well done, Robbie.
So let's move on then to the one and only Teenage Millionaire. So apparently Rob said in a TV interview that this was his Clash and Sex Pistols song. It was written by Guy Chambers and Robbie, and it was the B-side to Lazy Days. And he actually sung it on his first 3 tours. What do you think about it then, Katie?
I don't mind it. I think they all followed some of them are quite similar, not similar, but they all followed that same kind of Brit pop theme, didn't they?
Yeah.
I do. You did say he did. I do remember that he did sing it on one of the early tours. You got a few more B-sides on some of the earlier tours.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not my favourite.
Oh, really? Because I absolutely love it. I know you don't.
You love this one?
Yeah, I love it.
Well,
Matt thinks it's a bit too noisy, I think.
when did I say that?
I'm sure you said that to me at one point.
I think Lucy's testing my memory now. I think possibly in the early days, I didn't like it so much because it was just a load of noise. But then I think it's grown on me a bit, certainly as we've been listening to it more recently.
Yeah.
What do you think? You obviously really like it.
Well, I just really love it. I just love the scream at the beginning, which you think comes from another
Well, there was a
song.
bit of I think that kind of comes from metal, doesn't it? That screaming, like Brian Johnson from AC/DC and Black Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne used to do a lot of sort of screaming at the beginning or during their songs because he does that. I'm not even going to try and do it.
No, it's impossible.
But I can't do it that high. But it certainly sounds very anarchistic.
Yeah.
So he definitely got the Sex Pistols Clash feeling to it,
Yeah,
I
that's
think.
true. Yeah. I just think it's really good live. I loved it when he did it on those early tours. The crowd used to go mad. Lots of bouncing.
Yeah.
I just think it's got a really good vibe.
I like the lyrics. I think the lyrics are clever. It's just like Matt says, it's quite a heavy one.
I like the beginning. You're listening to
WANK. I didn't just say WANK for the fun of it, by the way. Lucy just skipped over the fact that it said you're listening to WANK. Just to put that into context.
Yeah, you're right. That's
And the
exactly
old
what
core bleeding, blimey, Mary Poppins, whatever he says.
he says.
Crazy. So, riding my old faithful, bigger pin-up than Betty Grable. Who? Rob, or the person he was riding? Who was the biggest pin-up? That's what I was trying to work out. And apparently Betty was an American actress with 42 films that grossed more than 100 million and was among the top 10 box office stars for 10 consecutive years, which I didn't know until I looked her name up.
That was a long time ago, I'm assuming, was it?
Yeah. And this is one of my all-time favourite lines. Dinner with Diana, I'm a social Stoke spanner, waiting for my knighthood. She can pin it on my manhood.
I knew that was going to be your favourite bit.
No, I think that's why.
Because of that song.
Yeah.
Because of Teenage Millionaire.
I think that's why he's still waiting for his knighthood.
One does not like it.
Yeah. Yeah. The Queen was like, no, that's just too rude. I'm not letting
So
him
when the
have
Queen
one.
listened to that, she was
Yeah.
like, no, off the list.
Being stupid makes you lots of money.
Yeah.
He certainly made a career out of that, wouldn't you say? Is that offensive?
I think you can be stupid in an entertaining way, can't you? You know,
I mean, he
Yeah.
plays the fool. That's what I
playing
mean.
the fool. Yeah, there is some intelligence in that.
And also because everyone at school, his teachers told him basically that he was stupid.
Yeah.
But clearly he's not. He has made a lot of money.
He was a teenage millionaire, as I've got in my notes, with was underlined.
And also, did he actually...
So it was.
Was he a teenage
Well,
millionaire?
that's... Yeah.
In 1993, he would have been 19. Do you think he was already a millionaire by then? Because Take That only had their first number one in 1993. I couldn't work out whether he would have actually have received £1 million by then, or whether it would have been more like 1994 when he was 20.
But when was the song written?
This song was written in 1997. But he probably lost most of his money then to Nigel Martin Smith in the lawsuit.
Well, I guess it's possible they were on £1 million contract.
Well, was that $1 million each, though?
Well, Gary probably made 5. And then another line that made me laugh. Bothered Judy Garland when I buggered Barbara Cartland. I don't even really know what that lyric means, but it just makes me smile.
I think he just thought of Judy Garland and then suddenly assumed Barbara Cartland just rhymes. So that'll sound absurd and obscene. Put it in.
Do you think he's watching a lot of old films when he wrote this?
Yeah,
There's a lot of old film stars.
It does seem that way. Yeah.
Maybe they all were teenage millionaires as well, possibly. Don't know. I don't know enough about them to know.
It's a good theory. Judy Garland, I think, she certainly was really successful when she was younger.
Yeah, it could be something to do with that.
So that line, my cleaner's wearing bondage, to rhyme with outrage.
It's another of his classic rhyming lines, like Corius.
I just love it's good. I like it.
Yeah, so I really like Teenage Millionaire and I would like him to sing it live again one day, but he probably won't because he doesn't like doing those high energy 90s ones, it seems, anymore. Like he always says on Insta Live about Karma Killer, people ask him for that all the time. And he always says, no, it's too angry, I don't want to do that.
And some of them we've discussed are too high for him now as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Need a little bit of reworking. Needs to start remixing his songs like Kylie, just sort of getting a bit of I guess he has done that to a few, but yeah, I think this one, I reckon it'll come back at some point. Yeah, into the live.
He certainly liked it at the time to have played it on tour.
I think it means something different now as well, doesn't it? Like it was a bit angry at the time, but yeah, I think it'll come back.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So, should we move on to Falling in Bed Again?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes.
So, written by Robbie and Matt Hay, who was a past member of Baby Bird, who also worked with Steve Power, the producer of Life Through a Lens. Matt was the assistant recording engineer of the Life Through a Lens album, and his only songwriting credit is on Falling in Bed Again. It was a B-side to Lazy Days.
Baby Bird.
Yeah.
Because You're Gorgeous.
Yeah,
Is
that one.
It? Yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask what was it he sung? That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, he had more songs than just that one, but
No, he was a
oh,
he was a member of it, but I don't know whether he wrote it because
right.
he's not given as a songwriting credit. But yeah,
oh, I see.
I don't know what he did in Baby Bird. I probably should have found that out.
I'd love to hear what you two are going to say about Falling in Bed Again, because it's just a weird song.
Katie, I'll let you go first.
I like this one.
Yes. Me and Katie have discussed this song several times about how much we love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm really intrigued to know now then.
Why don't you like it? Or are you?
Oh no!
kind
I just think it's a
on the fence?
I don't think I like it or don't like it. It's just it's just a strange song. Just crazy lyrics. I guess, my note was, well, I guess it's about being a bit shit-faced and having lots of one-night stands.
See, I like the lyrics. I think they're quite clever. And I think it was kind of typical Rob at that period. I think that's why I like it so much.
Yeah, definitely. It's.
I mean, it doesn't hold back, does it? I mean,
no.
I think it was just Rob, wasn't it? At that time, that was, he was known. At that time, he was always out partying, and kind of doing all these crazy things, and
still taking lots of drugs and drinking at that time.
Yeah, exactly. It was that, and I think almost it's kind of that's Rob in that period in this song for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite clever. I think the lyrics are pretty clever.
I love the lyrics. It just never fails to make me smile when I listen to this song. Every time it comes on, I'm like, oh,
exactly.
Yes.
Katie, have you got any favourite bits? Because I know Lucy's about to say a few. So, any favourite parts of that song?
She had a curry stain that was down her cardi, but her teeth were clean, so I said smartly.
I love that line so much.
I mean, we write songs like that these days.
Yeah.
That was one of yours as well.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
that is my favourite line from that song. Oh, and also, she had a piece of cabbage stuck between her teeth, and I said, I love that as well.
I love the arrangement of it. I love how the song goes. It kind of goes through that bit, and then it kind of goes into the chorus. I think I love that part of it as well. I think it's a great song.
Yeah, the arrangement. Now you say that, for me, it's got this strange. I can't even describe it. It's like sort of a strange feeling and tone to it, like you're kind of getting lost in this tale. It's like I don't know. I'm not very musical, so I don't know how to describe it, but it does feel as though you're being drawn into this weird world of the story.
Yeah,
through the way it's played. Yeah.
Well, then the song's doing what it needs to, isn't it?
Yeah. It really, like you say, it really fits.
Yeah, I mentioned it once in chat. I can't remember why. I just said something about falling in bed again. And Robbie's response was, well, it's better than Cheap Love Song. That's all I've managed to get out of him on that song.
It's a very insightful comment.
I know. I don't think he thinks much of Cheap Love Song.
He probably can't remember that one either.
Yeah.
Now I've got a question for you two to clear up if you know the lyrics. He says something about something she briefs. My briefs, He doesn't say immediately. He says Lucy will probably tell me he does say immediately now.
Something about, and she goes for my briefs.
I
don't know what that bit is.
I think it's supposed to say immediately, but I think there was too many...
Can you remember, Katie?
Too many syllables in immediately.
That line here, the doors closed and she went for my briefs, is that one?
Yeah, the bit after that.
Yeah. See Me.
See Me. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. See Me.
Falling in bed again.
Yeah. That's
Falling in bed again.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to cut that bit out. Another misheard
You need to
lyric.
listen to that.
I just thought it was short for immediately.
No, see Me is one of the ones I've got here.
See Me. Thank you, Katie. You've rescued me now. I will now know that for more.
What I noticed also when I really listened to it is that, like, the whole way through the song, he's falling in love again. He keeps saying falling in love. And then as soon as he gets her into bed, it changes to just falling in bed again. And he's not in love. It's just all about being in bed. So it's literally just a song about getting someone into bed.
Getting into bed. Yeah.
See, it was that classic Robbie era.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've always said to Lucy that the last line, it's always a bit odd. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I said I wasn't on that job.
Yeah, that bit always is a bit weird.
I mean, it fits with the rest of the song, of course.
Yeah, I wasn't on that job.
Fair enough.
I quite like it. It's like a random comment at the end of his song. It's
Yeah.
like,
It just
Yeah,
stops.
done.
I love it.
That's the end of that one.
Falling
And,
in bed, brackets
move on.
again.
Well, I'd also just wanted to say, I bet that's about a real person, educated at RADA,
Oh yeah.
but we'll never know
Yeah.
who it was.
No.
And I'd like to know whether she really did have a curry stain down her cardi and
Cardi.
cabbage stuck in
Down
it.
her Cardi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cardis were obviously all the rage back then.
yeah. I don't remember them being.
That's a cardigan for international listeners, just to let you know what a cardi is, if you didn't know.
Must have been winter if she had a Cardi on.
Yeah.
So shall we move on to She Makes Me High, Lucy?
Yeah. So I don't have much information on this one. It's a B-side to Lazy Days, and it was written by Robbie, Guy, and Gary Nuttall. Yeah, it's kind of, I think it's about, he's worshipping a girl and wonders if she can save him from his demons.
Yeah.
I'm falling, trying to find my way back. Maybe I'll never know where I've been. I hope she'll meet me in between. So hold my hand through this hurricane and teach me how to smile again. But then it sort of goes on, the song, and then it almost sounds as though he's actually got a girlfriend and that this is someone else that he's in love with. She protects me now and she is good. She sees me like I wish you would. She is honest now, she is true. She's the complete opposite of you.
Hmm.
Have you any
Ouch.
thoughts, Katie?
Yeah, I think your theory might be right. Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, again, that was him at that time.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to call him a womanizer, but...
What did he say at the Under the Radar gig? He said he was a fuckboy in the 90s. What would be termed now as a fuckboy?
yeah. So... You're going to have to put an expletive warning
Yeah,
on this.
we are.
Yeah.
We knew we would have to,
We knew
talking
this would
about
be
Robbie.
an e-podcast because there's no way we can go through the whole history without... we'd have to miss a lot of stories out,
Definitely not.
Yeah.
basically.
Especially when you get to Rude Box. Yeah, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
I don't know why, right? But this song I just reminds me of the Monkees. Do you remember the Monkees?
Yeah. I can see what you mean.
Did you two ever watch the Monkees show?
Yeah.
You know, where these just like spontaneously
No.
burst into song.
Yeah.
It's a TV show
No.
about a band.
I'm sure she's heard of the Monkees.
I've heard of the Monkees, but I couldn't...
Maybe it's just some of the
What do they
harmonies
sing?
and stuff that's on it. Hey,
Day-
we're the Monkees.
Daydream Believer.
Always monkey around.
Yeah.
This is
Carry on,
you know,
Matt.
my musical knowledge coming out now.
Yeah, this, to be honest, isn't one of my favourites.
I don't think I have enough knowledge of the Monkees to kind of go, yeah, I get where that's coming from.
We don't have to
I
keep
quite like
talking
this
about the
one. Do you
Monkees.
you're not a fan, Lucy?
No, it's okay, but I don't love it, this one. I prefer Teenage Millionaire. What do you like it, this one?
Yeah, I do like this one, yeah. Again, I just think it's really. I think it's because it's a catchy one.
Yeah.
Another catchy one.
Yeah, it's a bit more upbeat, isn't it? Da, da, da.
Yeah.
So every time, should we move on to Every Time We Say Goodbye?
Yeah.
So this was originally written by Cole Porter. The most known version is that from Ella Fitzgerald, part of the Great American Songbook published in 1944. Ella released it in 1956. Also, it was recorded by Ray Charles in 1961. Porter begins with an A major chord and ends with an A minor one, matching the mood of the music to the words change from major to minor. And it was the B-side to Lazy Days. There we go. I would claim the credit for knowing all of that, but Lucy researched that, so I can't. But
I think it's just a really beautifully sung song and kind of shows what he was capable of vocally. Just simple and beautiful.
Yeah, massively agree on that one. Think it was a great lyric, and I love you've just said the lyric yourself, Matt, with the from major to minor, right at the end of the song. I think that's such a lovely line, and I think it's kind of one that you really want to hear him sing like acoustic, because I think his vocal would be so good on it.
Yeah. But is it quite high to sing that one?
it's quite high. Yeah. I
Quite
say this
request it
about a
again,
lot of
then.
these early songs. Although I don't remember Ella Fitzgerald's version being high.
I'm sure
she
he
had
could sing it a bit
she had
lower.
much deeper voice.
She was quite,
It was really-
quite low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like it as well. I just like the simple piano and the vocals. It's just a beautiful song. One thing I did notice though, because I listened to the Ella Fitzgerald version, hers was 3 minutes and 29 seconds, and his version was 2 minutes and 59 seconds.
Oh.
But I didn't actually work out what the difference was, whether there was more instrumentals or less lyrics. I don't know.
Mm.
But
Do you reckon it's a royalty thing? If you go,
Possibly.
you have to pay more.
Yeah. I think probably it sort of almost shows his start of his swing career, this song.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit more down that route, isn't it? It's the first one he recorded that was a bit in that style.
Yeah, great point. Really was, wasn't it? It was definitely, I think, because he's always said, hasn't he loves that style of music.
Yeah.
And I guess, and that one, this song compared to the others that we've already spoke about is really a different tempo, isn't it? So maybe it was him going on really, trying to kind of, he was all about experimenting with all different styles at that time, wasn't he? And like Lucy says, it's maybe him kind of going, oh, this is, I really want to go the swing route, and let's just try it as a B-side and see where it goes.
Yeah.
I also think that a lot of people, well, let's face it, he received a lot of criticism in the early days. I think it actually shows that he can sing really well. It's just a classic song that everybody knows, and it's a really, really good vocal.
So let's move on to Cheap Love Song. This was a B-side to South of the Border. It's written by Robbie, Owen Morris and Chris Abbott. Owen mixed Oasis's Definitely Maybe, What's the Story and Be Here Now albums, and he actually appears on the cover of What's the Story holding the album's master tape. He also produced the Verve's Northern Soul and Ash's 1977, so he was one of those real Britpop producers, really. And this seems to be the only song that he's co-written.
Mm.
He now works in publicity and label management and eventually ended up at Creation Records. He now has a company with Tim Abbott, who is Robbie's ex-manager from 1995. And Robbie also wrote the unreleased song Go Now with Owen, and he said they wrote that in a cowshed in Wales. I think he's played that on Instagram Live a few times, Go Now, hasn't he? So you can probably find that on YouTube somewhere. So although that's Owen's only writing credit, he has got another writing credit, but it just hasn't been released. The other South of the Border B-sides were remixes. This was the only B-side we got for Cheap, which was Cheap Love Song. Well, I think it's about finding love, or trying to find love, basically. Same old crowds, but different faces. It's love we lost, but we're still chasing. Take your time, feeling right, you will see it's all believing. One fine day, you'll find a way, you will reach your destination. That's what it's about. Any thoughts, Katie?
It's one of those songs where it wouldn't be my first to go and listen to. I don't know why, because I think it's got, you know, there are some good lyrics in there, but yeah, I don't know why it's never if I'm going to listen to the B-side, it wouldn't be my first choice.
Yeah, same. And Robbie obviously feels the same if he said that Falling in Bed Again was better than Cheap Love Song. So he clearly doesn't hold it in very high esteem.
Yeah.
The only thing I had down here as a note is it sounds like someone else, but I can't bring to mind who it is. So that's not interesting, is it, if I say that? I never actually figured out who it sounded like. And it also is quite extremely high range in this song.
You like saying that?
If I can't find anything else to say, that's what I say.
Really high.
Let's move on to Karaoke Overkill. So this was written by Robbie and Guy.
Yeah, I guess the lyrics are fun again, aren't they? Naked Twister, Strip Poker lyrics sort of seem to stand out for me. And there's something to do with being caned.
I did find some when you look at the lyrics online, what they think are the lyrics are quite funny. So basically they've got things like, I've seen you in my Bayer instead of I've seen you in Marbella. Here's Smuggler's House instead of Glass House. Down to your Joker instead of Toker. And it says 5 currant sir instead of just add vodka and stir. Like, I just think, how do people come up with those wrong lyrics? Do you know?
Do you reckon it's one of those robots that does it? And it's just
it must be.
Yeah, I'll just put whatever.
Yeah. It's very hard to find the correct lyrics online.
Yeah, I'm just looking now, and I've got Down to Your Joker as well in the version I've got.
Yeah.
So it's Toker.
I mean, I think they are actually really funny lyrics in this. Partying is such sweet sorrow today when you don't know who your friends are, and neither do they. Here's my glass house, why don't you come and view it? Hanging with your sister, playing naked twister. Down to your toker, playing strip poker.
They were great times when he was writing that.
Definitely.
I guess it was an obvious word to rhyme with poker, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the bar, 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 bar bits. I think that's at the end. I can't remember how it goes now. I like those. I like that bit.
I'm trying to remember it, but I can't remember the bar, bar, bar bit.
No, I can't either.
But they sound good. So if you want to go back and listen to the song, listen to the bar, bar, bars.
Yeah.
So that's Karaoke Overkill then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So Get the Joke was written by Robbie and Gary Nuttall. Gary hasn't written many songs with Robbie. He did do one of the ones earlier. I can't remember which one. And Gary, of course, is the only band member to have consistently been in Robbie's band from the very beginning to now. And this was a B-side to Angels.
I love the rhythm on this song. It's like one of those real foot-tapping songs, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I also thought this was a cover at first. But then I thought, well, you only have to listen to the lyrics to know that it's Williams-esque, of course. Especially when they shout arse at the end of the song. Arse? Quite like that. What do you think about this song, Katie?
I love this song so much.
Really?
I don't know if you've I don't know if you've seen there's he does an acoustic version. You can, I think it's on either Inner Sanctum DVD that the fan club sent out years ago.
Oh yeah, I have got that. I've
Through
watched
it
it
all
for a long time.
You never watched it?
Right. I have got it.
It's on
but I can't
YouTube as
remember.
well. And he sat in a dressing room, I think, with Gary on the guitar.
Yeah.
And they do an acoustic version, and the vocal is so incredible on that one.
I think I do remember that now that you describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, can you remember? And they film it for part of kind of, you know, before mobile phone and YouTube and blogs and all that sort of stuff. They do it as DVD. And I like the song anyway, but when I heard that version, like I say, his vocal is so good on it. And as Matt said, it's a typical Robbie song, you know, full of cheekiness and, you know, ridiculous lyrics. But I think it's a brilliant one. I think it's one of those that kind of got a little bit lost. I think if like we were just saying, if the song's on kind of iTunes and those sorts of things, I think there's some songs out there that some fans might not even know exist because they have got lost a little bit, and an absolute brilliant one. And I'd love to hear this one live. I think it would be so good.
It would be really funny.
So your recommendation then, Katie, to the fans is to go and listen to that song. Go and find Get the Joke.
Yeah.
Get
the Joke. It's great. It's typical Robbie cheekiness in a song for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a great one. I think it's a great kind of, you know, tap your feet to.
Yeah.
It just kind of sounds comedic, doesn't it? Like the whole vibe of the song just sounds fun.
Yeah.
And
I always just think that they've literally sung it and gone and made it up on the spot and then gone quick press record. And I feel like it's a sort of song that they're just almost making up as they're singing it.
Probably did.
It's just,
I think
probably.
You've got some favourite lyrics.
Probably
Lucy?
Well, I like it's suing season, and I Am Broke.
Yeah,
that was around the time that Nigel was suing him, and I think he was suing the Take That record label as well, and lost and had to pay them a lot of money.
Yeah.
Who put this spanner stroke chainsaw in my spokes? I am a sports fan, a real bloke. But I don't know why that makes him a real bloke being a sports fan. You'd disagree with that, wouldn't you?
Well, it's a bit of a traditional sort of view of things, isn't it? You know, whatever that means.
Have you got any favourite lyrics?
Probably classy or flashy, at home with Lassie.
That is a good one.
It's just so random, but I love it.
That is a good one.
Lucy, did you say this song reminds you of Walk This Sleigh? That's
I don't know why, but because
maybe
they're
why
on
you
the
were
same.
thinking it was a Christmas song.
Yeah, because
before.
They were the same B-sides, weren't they?
Yeah, they were both with Angels.
Yeah,
and for some reason, when I hear Get the Joke, I just think of Walk This Sleigh all the time.
Yeah. So
the next song is Angels acoustic version, which was a B-side to Angels. And we thought we'd bring this one in so that Katie can give her thoughts on Angels, because obviously we discussed Angels in the last episode.
Yeah.
But if Katie has anything to say on Angels, then you can say it here.
In a safe environment. Angels. I might be about to be really controversial here.
That's allowed.
The only time I ever listen to it is when I see him live. I won't ever listen to it any other time.
Wow.
I don't. It's not because I don't think it's a good song. You know, it kind of was the song that changed everything. I think for me, it's just overplayed, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you put Robbie Williams onto YouTube, it just comes up Angels.
Angels, yeah. And I think as much as, you know, like I say, it's a good song, for me, it's not his best. And I feel like I've heard it so many times. And as we've already mentioned, people assume it's a Christmas song. So then that's it. As soon as it gets to October, they start playing it because it's Christmas then. What I'd be interested to say, what were your thoughts in the last episode on Angels?
Well, I do still really like it, and I do play it, and it is my alarm every morning on my phone.
So we hear it every day.
Yeah, but that's mainly because it...
Or a bit of it ananyway, not the whole thing.
I normally stop it.
Depends how long Lucy
singing.
sleeps in before. Like, I don't have an alarm, I just wake up when I wake up.
But because it starts really softly, I find it more relaxing as an alarm than actual alarm sounds that you get on your phone, because it's just a gentle piano playing. So that's my reason for having Angels.
I'm like you, Katie. It's obviously, it's just an incredible song. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Definitely should have been number one.
Yeah.
And I think when you tell non-Robbie
sure.
fans that it never got to number one, I think they're all quite surprised. Oh, of course it did. No. But yeah, it's not, apart from Lucy's Alarm, it's not one that we would put on often. But then again, I think when we're in the car, we don't really skip it either, do we, if it comes on? Yeah, I think Robbie knows why that's an important song, and I think the fans understand, like you said, why it's important. But yeah, it's.
I've got other songs that I like more.
Yeah, completely.
I feel for Rob that he doesn't want that to be the song that defines him, but he knows why it's important, and he knows why he's got to continue singing it. And I don't think he hates it, but
No, I think he does like it.
I think he does like it. He understands the importance of it. But I think for fans, I know, sometimes it's a bit bittersweet. It's weird when I listen to it. It brings up like a real mixture of emotions. It's like, because people have it played at funerals and things. But it's, I always hear the beauty in the song and the lyrics. But it does annoy me when you say, "Oh yeah, we're Robbie fan." Oh, Angels. It's immediately if you meet someone you don't know, they're like, "Oh yeah, Angels."
Yeah.
Or Angel.
Name a song
Which
by
obviously-
Robbie that's not Angels. Don't know.
Yeah.
So from a fan point of view, it can create annoyances, can't it? Even though it's a good masterpiece, in discussion, it can sometimes create a bit of annoyance.
I think Robbie says it himself, doesn't he? Quite a lot. Like with gigs, like he has to do the hits, so he has to do Angels because the hardcore fans make up only a certain percentage of that stadium, and he has to sing it because otherwise, people will be like, "Oh, he didn't sing all the hits and stuff." And and sometimes I think, that's a shame that he feels like he has to sing it. It's got to that song has got to that point that it almost like, I have to do it now. And like I say, when it's live, I think I still love it, like listening to it. But for me, overplayed. But that's not any other reason than the radios and those sorts of things that kind of put it on all the time towards the end of the year, and you're just like, oh god, there is more to them than that song, I think.
Yeah.
Lucy, I don't know whether you know this, but I'm intrigued. What are the extra bits? Because the acoustic version is different from.
Well, I think it's just like less drums, and it's acoustic guitar instead of electric guitar, I'd say. More strings. I think that's the difference.
Slightly different backing vocals, I think, in some of the bits. Some of the RRs.
The backing vocals were a bit different. Yeah. And that's about the only.
I think that's my favourite fact so far. Less drums.
Yes.
Us musos here, we notice these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not musicians.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So let's move on to Walk This Sleigh.
Yeah, Walk This Sleigh. Written by Robbie and Guy, and it was the B-side to Angels.
So this is his early Christmas song, isn't it?
Yes. And I remember there's a bit of rapping thrown in at the beginning. Mine
Happy
is yours.
birthday, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's it. Happy birthday, Jesus Christ.
Oh, no, that's not a rap. That's just one of the verses, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's the Spice Girls merchant.
Yeah. And also, he now says Justin Bieber merchandise in one of his other songs, doesn't he?
Does he?
He's moved with the times.
Yes, his Christmas songs have evolved since Walk This Sleigh.
Yeah, definitely. Someone did ask him at some point why Walk This Sleigh wasn't on the Christmas present. And he said, because it's crap.
It's too high.
I do like the line, pushed to find 3 wise men. You definitely won't find a virgin.
Yeah.
Do you like this song, Katie?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's a bit like with Get the Joke, very quite playful, quite kind of cheeky lyrics. Typical Rob. I think this one.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of get why it didn't end up on the Christmas present, maybe.
Yeah.
Because again, I feel like it's one of those that he's just kind of written and gone, quick, press record. This is really good. But again, it's quite a fun song, and I quite like that about it. I think that's why.
Also, thinking about the line "Happy Birthday, Jesus Christ." Obviously, he did then go on to write a song called "Happy Birthday, Jesus Christ" for the Christmas present.
He did, indeed, yeah.
So perhaps he did listen to Walk This Sleigh to get some ideas for his Christmas album. This song always reminds me of Christmas rapping. You know that song, Christmas Rapping?
Christmas rapping.
No, can you sing
it? No, I can't think how
Let's
it
hear
goes.
it, Lucy.
It's like a girl kind of rapping Christmas lyrics. It's called Christmas Rapping. Well,
there is a bit of rapping thrown in at the beginning, isn't there? This song, in a very Stokey sort of accent.
Yeah, that's probably why it makes me think of it.
And then there's a crazy guitar instrumental bit about 2 minutes in, just before it finishes. It just kind of goes a bit nuts.
Yeah.
Quite like that.
Yeah.
Robbie's good in it as well, of course, but
it's just basically a fun song, isn't it?
I think Katie's right. It's one of those, they're like, this is funny, let's have a laugh, get it down, get it recorded.
That'll do as a B-side.
Done.
Yeah, you need 2 B-sides. Oh God, I've only got 1. Quick, let's go.
Sometimes life's just like that, isn't it? You just got to get it done.
Yeah. I'd love to know how long that took to write, that song.
Yeah. Half an hour. Is that rude?
What rhymes with Jesus Christ? Merchandise. Yeah, let's go.
Some of the best songs are written very quickly, though, so we shouldn't judge.
They were indeed.
So let's move on to Back for Good live.
Yeah.
This was also a B-side to Angels. I guess it was recorded at one of his October 97 gigs on the Show Off Must Go On tour. Obviously written by Gary Barlow. And it was the last song that was released when Robbie was actually a full member of Take That. So probably the last song that he would have actually sung with them when he was in the band.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this version of Back for Good. I love it so much. I prefer it to the original. And when I'm at a Take, do you? Oh, good. Yeah. When I'm at a Take That concert and they sing it the normal way, I just find it so boring.
You just want to start the rock bit, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
You like to start bouncing. You're like, oh, it's not that version. This is sad.
Yeah, I know. I just love it. And on those early tours when he used to sing it, everyone just used to go mental jumping up and down to this. It was so good.
Well, you can hear
exactly.
in that recording, you can hear the Take That fans going crazy. Well, I say they Take That fans because they're Robbie fans, but just going absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
In that recording, I mean,
doing all the backing vocals.
Where was it recorded? I know it's in Manchester.
Was it Manchester? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what place it was.
I like the way he says, does he say at the beginning? Don't worry, it gets better in the chorus.
Yeah.
That's a really bad accent. I don't know why I did it. But he does worry. He says worry. He doesn't say worry like that.
Doesn't sound Welsh.
Don't worry. He says, don't worry, it'll get better. It gets better in the chorus. I don't know. That's stuck in my mind.
And also, when I'm seeing Take That live and they're singing it and they say, I celebrated glory, but it was not to be. I always hear, I contemplated foreplay. Because he sings that as well sometimes, doesn't he?
He does sing that sometimes.
He does, yeah. There's a couple of versions he does, isn't there? He flips between, and that's one of them.
Yeah. Makes me laugh.
But I think it's got a, I think when you first played it to me, I was like, really? Is he allowed to do this song? Is this allowed? But it's got a really sort of thrash metal, heavy rock feel to it. I don't know, it sounds a bit like Sid Vicious from the Sex Pistols. I think it's quite fitting though, because it's anarchy, isn't it? It's anarchistic. Yeah. And he even says anarchy to the crowd at one point. So I can just imagine like the sea of fans hearing that song in the very early days for the first time, just going crazy, or probably certain people hating it.
Yeah, I bet some did.
I think I remember when I heard it live, one of the first times he started singing it, but I think I'd already heard it, so I kind of knew what was coming. But you could kind of almost see, like, he'd start to sing it and people in the audience were like, oh, let's take that, woo! And then he'd get to the chorus and they would all be like, huh. And you could almost hear this collective like, oh, this is different. And then by the end of it, they were like really into it.
Yeah.
But it is so clever, isn't it? I mean, we've heard it so many times now, but that contrast, that tempo change between the ballad and the hardcore rock bit is just a light and shade, isn't it? I mean, I just think it's so clever how they've done that. And then he gets everyone to mosh.
Yeah.
Did you two mosh in the early days?
Definitely. Did you? Were you a bit too young?
You were in the mosh pit?
No,
up and down?
Was fully in there.
Crowd surfing?
Yeah.
My favourite time when he sung it was when he did it at the Troxy for the Brits Icon Award. And Take That joined him. And they sung this version. And that's the only time Take That have sung this version. I was so excited.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Did Gary Barlow look as though he was enjoying it, though?
They kind of did. Do you think they did?
I'm sure they did.
Yeah, I think they did. I think Mark especially had a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. But I do wonder what Gary actually thinks of it.
Yeah, I know. You'd love to ask him, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think I have tried to ask him before on like Insta Live or something, but he never answers anyone's questions, does he, on there? So
come on, Gary. So,
up your Instagram.
Yeah.
So Mr. Naive here, right? Here's a fact. It's sort of semi-related, okay? So at the end of the song, I can hear that he launches off into Get Your Rocks Off, I think. Cover from Primal Scream. You know that one, Katie?
Yeah.
I really like that song, is why I'm asking, because I looked it up to hear the original for like, and for the first time in 27 years, I actually learned the definition of Get Your Rocks Off. So here's Mr. Naive's comment. Do you know what it means?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It means to orgasm or to get extreme pleasure or satisfaction. It's funny how you sing along with songs for like 20 years or more, not knowing that you're singing about orgasms. I didn't know that.
I think I did know that.
I mean, why didn't you tell me?
I just didn't.
She wanted to hear you explain it on a podcast.
Yes.
I may have known, but I may have forgotten. It's possible. But I'm sure Lucy's about to give us another interesting fact as well.
No, I just remembered when he says about, I guess now it's time for me to throw up. I like that. It's almost a dig.
It's almost like, exactly. I was literally about to say, it's like, here's me, the first kind of verse is all like, here's me and Take That, being all good in a boy band, and I'm going to rebel. Yeah. And it's almost kind of reflects that him leaving, doesn't it, almost? And it's like,
Yeah. And then lipstick mark on your coffee cup.
Wash it up.
Wash it up.
Surely it wasn't in the original.
No, it wasn't in the original, but I always sing that now.
Yeah, exactly. When I've seen Take That live, if they're doing it, I'll sing Rob's lyrics now to it and not to the Take That one.
Yeah, so do I.
Brilliant.
I always sing Wash It Up, but no one else ever joins in around me.
You know what? Next time we're stood at a gig together, Lucy, we'll sing it loud together.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So let's move on and talk about the Brits Full Monty medley with Tom Jones at the Brits. And this was the B-side to Let Me Entertain You. And the recording of this performance was with Tom at the Brits on the 19th of February, 1998. The Full Monty soundtrack, which this is from, won the Best Soundtrack or Cast Recording at the Brit Awards, which is probably why Robbie and Tom performed it. The Brits used to be known for getting acts to do duets together of unexpected songs. Tom Jones said, "He reminds me of myself. He's got that confidence." So Lucy and I were watching a 1997 TV interview a little while
Robbie.
ago, and he said, if there's anyone I'd like to do a duet with, it's Tom Jones. Did I say Tom Cruise before, or Nicole Kidman, laughing at his own joke? Little did he know that it would only be a few months before he would duet with Tom and a few years before he would be duetting with Nicole.
Isn't that weird?
So,
Great fact.
It's amazing. What you put your mind to can actually happen.
But how random as well. Nicole Kidman. I mean,
I know.
she wasn't even known
really
as a
random.
singer. Yeah.
Well,
No.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think that this performance at the Brits actually helped Robbie's album, Life Through a Lens, reach number 1 after this performance.
Right.
And also he was on Parky the same week as the Brits, where he performed Angels. And those 2 performances helped Life Through a Lens finally reach number 1 after, 5 months after release?
Yeah. Because the Brits back in those days, I mean, it still is massive, but it was like really massive. Everybody watched the Brits, basically to see whether the celebrities would behave themselves or not, and who would jump on stage, or, and the music, of course.
We can't not talk about that Brits performance and not talk about the outfit.
I know.
Go on then, tell us about it, Katie.
So as I remember, it was like a like black leather trousers, wasn't it? And almost like a black leather jacket that was done all the way up, wasn't it? It was at the beginning, at least, anyway.
I think Tom had a suit on, didn't he? He looked quite well dressed.
I don't
Robbie
know.
just looked like old style Tom
Next
Jones
to
from
Robbie.
the 60s or
I
something.
think that's what they were trying. I think you're right. I think they were trying to purposely contrast it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love his crazy dancing in that performance when he was trying to dance like Tom Jones he used to.
It was kind of like go big or go home, wasn't it? I think he was kind of, the only way I know how to do this is just to go crazy with it.
Especially when you're on stage with a legend. I mean, I'd imagine he must have been quite, although he was probably excited about the performance, I'd imagine he must have been quite nervous about being on stage with Tom as well. I mean,
was it live as well, the Brits?
Yeah, it would have been, but they probably would have had a small delay in case of any.
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it was filmed as live with a slight delay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wondered if that's why, another reason why he went kind of so big with the dancing and that sort of thing. You know, because he's always been quite nervous, hasn't he? So stuff like that. And if he hasn't done anything for a while, and obviously being on stage with a legend that is Sir Tom.
I big moment.
remember all the papers reporting on it the next day as well.
Yeah.
And he still sings Land of a Thousand Dances now, which is quite nice, because obviously that was in that medley.
By
I
Percy
liked it.
Faith.
Your
Pony, Moni, Ferroni,
Auntie
mashed
Lucy.
potato, Auntie Lucy. Yeah, Auntie Lucy.
Yeah.
You like that bit?
I like the Auntie Lucy bit.
Is that because it said your name, Lucy?
Yeah. One of my old colleagues, who's retired now, she's a bit older than my mum. She was so excited to get a smart TV purely so that she could have YouTube on it and watch that performance over and over again on YouTube, because she absolutely loves that performance of Robbie and loves Tom Jones. And she was obsessed with it. And she was so excited, she told me, that she could save that and watch it on her smart TV. She's in her 70s.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So if we move on to, I wouldn't normally do this kind of thing, a B-side to Let Me Entertain You, but it was also on the Japanese version of Angels, a cover of the Pet Shop Boys song, which was written by Neil Tennant and Chris Lowe. And it was the first of many crossovers with the Pet Shop Boys. From the Pet Shop Boys' 1993 album, Very, it describes a person normally hesitant to unwind and show their feelings, who, because of some event in their life, suddenly becomes willing to loosen up. Apparently, that's what I read it was about. And the Pet Shop Boys version reached number 13 in the UK. Robbie's version can be heard in Friends in the episode entitled The One with the Routine. And it was used on the Friends soundtrack released on the 23rd of November 99, along with other artists, which I didn't know until recently.
I was watching it the other day and it came on and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that they played it in there.
Can you actually hear
I think
it?
it's the one where I think it's the one where I'm sure it's when they're filming the New Year's special. If you've ever watched Friends and Monica and Ross.
Oh yeah, I've watched them
doing
all,
their dance routine. Yeah,
I can remember Rachel and Ross doing their dance routine, but I don't remember Robbie singing.
Yeah.
in
Dance routines, yes.
Yeah.
It's a very short clip within the program, But I remember kind of being like, yeah, they used the Robbie version for some reason.
It's weird,
But
isn't it?
Yeah, you can hear it in there if you watch the episode. You can hear it.
We will definitely be watching it at some point soon. We're going to make our kids watch all of Friends.
All of them.
Oh,
Once we've finished Only Fools and Horses.
Continuing their television education. That's fabulous choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm guessing that Robbie covered this just because he loves the Pet Shop Boys. And I wondered whether it came about as a result of him speaking to Neil and doing the Noel Coward tribute and album, or whether he did this and then maybe Neil thought, oh, Robbie's interested in Pet Shop Boys, I'll speak to him about doing the Noel Coward thing. And I don't know. Wonder what came first.
I don't know. All I do know is that it really works for Rob, this song.
Yeah.
It just absolutely works for his voice, his style, the sound. It's a brilliant song. I mean, maybe I'm a bit biased because it's Pet Shop Boys, possibly, but it's just a really incredible song. I'm surprised that their version got to 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprised that only got to 13.
It's a great song, I think, but I love the Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah.
Katie, what do you think? You like the song?
Yeah, just second what Matt said. I think it really suits him. I think it's a great song. It's one you could just listen to and it's just so upbeat, isn't it? And I think you could listen to it in a bad mood and you'd be like, yeah, cool, good to go again.
Yeah.
Completely suits him, for sure.
He's sung quite a few Pet Shop Boys songs over the years and they do always seem to suit him.
Yeah.
They must sing in the same key as Robbie. Do you want to move on to the next one?
I Am the Resurrection. Or Erection.
Sometimes it's written res erection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was waiting for how Matt was going to pronounce it.
Yeah, I didn't want to draw attention to it. So this was written by Robbie and Guy, and it was the B-side to Let Me Entertain You. As Lucy said, sometimes listed as I Am the Res, in brackets, Erection.
Yeah. In the song it mentions Mia Farrow, and I had to look her up. But she was an actress/activist who was married to Sinatra for age 21 for 2 years, and then to Woody Allen for 10 years. I don't think they were married, but they were together. And I didn't actually know that. I'd heard the name, but I wouldn't have been able to say who she was. And randomly mentions Robin Cousins, the figure skater.
There's a lot of famous people in this song. Not a few.
Norris McWhirter.
Yeah.
I mean, where does that come from?
Well, I can tell you where that comes from, Lucy. Do you want to know?
Okay.
Katie, do you remember Norris McWhirter?
I'd like to know your fact, please, Matt.
Okay. Well, I love the fact that he's in it because Norris Dewar McWhirter, CBE, was a British writer, political activist and co-founder of the Freedom Association and a television presenter. So he and his twin brother Ross were known internationally for the founding of the Guinness Book of Records. There you go. So that's Norris McWhirter. Maybe there was something profound in it, or maybe it just rhymed, and
It probably just rhymed. I can't remember what it rhymed with now.
And what do you think about Shirley Bassey being in it, Lucy?
I hate Shirley Bassey. It's that
Tell
bad.
it like it is, Lucy. Come on.
She just really winds me up.
There was no sitting on the fence there, was there? At all. It was like, oh.
No.
She never holds back when it comes to Shirley Bassey, Katie.
It's just one of only about 3 or 4 people that if they come on the telly, I have to mute them.
Right, see, I'm a bit like that with Mick Hucknall. Sorry.
Oh no, that's another one for me. That's another one.
Yes.
I don't know what
can't
it
stand
is.
him. Yes.
No, I just have to mute.
Yes, same. Like I can't listen to his music. I have to turn it over. But the worst thing is that Matt's mum loves him.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to see a concert soon.
You have to go careful what you say.
Yeah, I
Mum's
do.
house.
I know.
Sorry, Mick.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Robbie.
Can I also say this is the second of Robbie's songs we've talked about today that mentions Lassie.
Oh, is it? I didn't notice that.
Ah.
Yeah. Shirley Bassey's playing Lassie up a pole
Oh yeah.
in Tallahassee. Do you reckon they were playing reruns of Lassie when he was doing a lot of this writing? And he thought, Lassie,
he
that
must have
rhymes
been.
with Shirley Bassey, lots of things.
It's
I
one of those
reckon.
words that he's just used again and again, like satellites, is in quite a few
Yeah.
of his songs as well.
Oh, but Lassie was one of those massively feel-good programs, wasn't it? You know, Lassie would always find the person that had got lost or sniff out the villain, you know.
Was it Lassie that had a really good theme tune, or was that a different dog program?
I can't remember what it was, but it did have a catchy theme
I
tune.
can't remember. Because there was the Littlest Hobo as well, and that had quite a good
that's
theme
it.
tune.
I think I'm thinking of that one.
Yeah, you're probably thinking of that one, yeah.
So what else have we got to say about I Am the Resurrection?
It's like a song where he's just making stuff rhyme for the sake of it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there are wonderful rhyming lyrics again here, aren't there?
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of verbal diarrhea in this song.
Yeah. Another of those, just press record and see what happens.
Another one of those.
I'll stick up for Auntie Sally. Wurzel's just a dirty, scally vagrant.
And it's another appetizer. I can go and buy a tizer. I mean, that's so close in terms of rhyming, isn't it? Appetizer. Appetizer.
It's another one of those songs where it gets really heavy. I think it's sort of towards the end, and it's got a real sort of Doors feel to it. I don't know why. It's like a distorted blues guitar, and the brass sections start really going for it.
Yeah.
I love that bit. I don't know. There's something about that where it really goes crazy. It's just like a crescendo of noise.
It's a bit too heavy for me.
Love that sort of thing.
Matt likes Muse and I don't. So.
But I'm not sure what the song's actually about. So
No,
come on,
do you know,
girls,
Katie?
tell me what the song really is about.
No.
What's the meaning of the
No,
song, as Keith Lemon would say? What's the, what does he say? I don't know. You don't know either?
No. I think it's one of those that's got a little bit lost.
Yeah.
When you're trying to, again, one that's not on iTunes.
Oh, isn't it? Oh.
But yeah, no, I couldn't find it. But YouTube. Yeah, it's just one of those random ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's what we love Robbie for.
we love it.
All those random songs.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
pure entertainment, aren't
Exactly.
they? Like,
Why-
who else writes lyrics like that?
Why does everything have to have a meaning, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Why can't it just be about random words and dogs?
Yeah. So the last song that we could talk about didn't appear on any of his B-sides. It was on the Noel Coward tribute album called 20th Century Blues. There Are Bad Times Around the Corner. So the profits of that album were donated to the Red Hot AIDS Charitable Trust, and Robbie performed it at the Noel Coward Gala at the Park Lane Hotel. Neil Tennant, who organised it all, said, "He ended the show and got a standing ovation for his outstanding performance. He really brought the house down." And I wondered whether it's after that that Neil agreed to work with Rob on No Regrets, seeing, how good he was.
Yeah, probably.
And also what I discovered is that the original lyrics to the song are way longer than the cover that Robbie did. They just go on and on and on about all these places, as the song does. Robbie's version cuts quite a lot out.
Yeah, it's funny. I looked at the lyrics and I thought that Robbie had like made a load up, but actually some of the weird lyrics were in the original song. So it's kind of hard to know which bits did he tweak and change. It was a bit of an odd song anyway.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, but obviously very meaningful at the time, given its sort of history and, why
it?
no. Well,
Enlighten us.
well, Katie may know more about this than me, but I think it's about, people going off to war and wars happening around the world and kind of conflict and, I know that there's a bit in it about pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, 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 is the full name of a World War I marching song published in 1915 in London, you see.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I think that was about a hope song during World War One, and I was wondering whether this is like a slightly more modern take, and I don't know.
It could be.
I could be just making all that up, of course.
What do you think?
Unpack your troubles from your old kit bag, you know?
Yeah, it mentions, I don't know which version, Salisbury Plain. And Salisbury Plain is a military training area. Still to this day, it's a very big military training area. And a lot of the World War II guys went and trained there before they went over to France. So, yeah, Matt, your theory is pretty right, I should imagine.
Yeah, and there's something about it that sounds similar to It's a Long Way to Tipperary. You know, it sort of reminds me of that sort of song as well.
Yeah, because some of the lyrics, isn't it? It's suffering and dismay. There are bad times just around the corner, which kind of, I guess, would have been the feeling, you know, when the soldiers were all off to war. So
yeah,
I hadn't thought of it like that at all. It's interesting, but I think he's done a good job of the cover.
Yeah, it's a really interesting song, isn't it? I mean, the lyrics again. I mean, they're not all his, but some of them are. But
are they? I don't know. I feel like he just.
I think
edited
some of them
stuff out.
I think some of them might have been tweaked a little bit. I have to go and have a look at that.
Yeah, maybe he made it not up to date, but, you know, or maybe slightly more relevant for the time.
Just fun listening to all the different places listed, just random names of places.
And wait until we drop down dead.
Yeah.
I think that's the last lyric.
It's not very nice now.
I think it's
doesn't feel quite as
Lucy's
jolly.
whole outlook on the song has changed. Well, it is sort of a jolly song. It's about people facing reality and the fact that wars are happening and people are, you know, going off and defending people. And see, you've even learned something from the Robbie Williams Rewind podcast. It's not often that my research actually is very interesting, but, you know.
Just to say that other awards that Robbie won during this era that we haven't mentioned yet include Solo Artist of the Year at the GQ Awards and Best Newcomer at the Nordorf Robbins Silver Clef Awards. I didn't mention them in episode 1.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So if we move on to the tour, Robbie completed a second tour promoting Life Through a Lens. There were 15 shows in small venues and included some universities. He opened it on the 15th of May, 98, at the Basement Student Union in Treforest, a village in Pontypridd in Wales, for the Glamorgan University Ball. I mean, can you imagine him playing at a university ball? Can you imagine if that was your university ball? How good would that have been?
I'm sure there's people out there that may be listening that was their university ball. If they're similar age to us.
Yeah, true. But there's you can see a photo on the internet of girls stood on tables at the ball trying to see him on the stage.
I bet. So it's probably pretty raucous university. Well, university balls are normally pretty raucous, but people aren't always on the tables.
And also, interestingly, that was the town where Tom Jones was born, which I didn't know, where he did that ball. Another
linkage to Tom Jones.
He also played in Chalfont St Giles at the Bucks College Student Union for 2,500 students at their annual May Ball, before going on to some bigger venues like the Manchester Apollo, York Barbican Centre, Bristol Colston Hall and Aston Villa Leisure Centre, which is where Katie first saw him live. Yeah. Is that right, Katie?
That is right, yes.
Would you want to say anything about your first time seeing Robbie?
So I'd wanted to see him the tour before, because I lived in Derby at the time, and he played at Nottingham Rock City, but Nottingham Rock City is an over-18s venue. So I couldn't go, wasn't allowed because I was underage. And my dad the following year then surprised me with tickets to go and see him at Aston Villa, which was the nearest place, and he booked a bus for me from Derby, made my sister go with me. Sister was not a fan of Robbie.
Oh, so your sister wasn't a fan?
No. She basically had to babysit me. And I was saying to Lucy earlier in the week, if you can imagine when you used to do your PE classes at school and you're in the big gym hall where you'd play basketball, etc., that is basically what I saw Robbie in for the first time. And I kind of wish now, having seen him in all sorts of venues, that I'd appreciated how small the venue was at the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was just typical sort of sports hall size.
Yeah, it was like a leisure centre. Oh, it was crazy. Yeah, it was just, yeah, I remember kind of walking in and thinking, okay, I just left school and this looks very similar to where I have to do PE.
Were you near the front?
Yeah, so my sister was like, right, yeah, come on then, if I've got to be here, let's make the most of it. So I think I was about second row, and I'd only seen him prior at the Smash Hits poll winners party. If you remember, they used to do those every year when Smash Hits awards were a really big thing, and Robbie sang Freedom. I'd never seen him in Take That because I'd been too young. So when I went to see Take That, he'd left, so I'd just seen the four of them. So that was the first time I'd properly seen him. And the ticket cost a massive £11.50. I've still got it.
Oh.
Those were the days, £11.50 for booking fee now.
Even more.
And I just remember, I don't remember much about the gig. I was looking through, I managed to find the set list on the internet earlier, and I kind of remember looking through it, and according to the set list, I wouldn't normally do this kind of thing, was the second song that I found that he sang on that tour. But yeah, I just remember being amazed at how close I was to this person that had been on my wall for all those years. And I think that's the thing that stayed with me, because I'd never been to a gig where I'd seen anybody that close up that was famous.
So you were 15 at the time or something?
16 I think. I was just 16.
And I'm intrigued, was because it was in a sports hall, I'm assuming the stage can't have been that high. It must have been like quite low.
Yeah, quite low. And I remember it wasn't massive from my memory, which might be slightly wrong given the years that have gone by. But, yeah, I remember it was quite small. It wasn't very high. You know, it's a stage that they just put up for that gig. All the old bands were on it, and it was pretty. I remember it being pretty full, the venue. And I'd taken my camera. My battery ran out, and my sister was asked if she could go over to the garage and get a little wind-on camera. Do you remember those disposables? Yeah. So they wouldn't have to go. So I actually have any photos of the first gig. But yeah, I do remember kind of going, yeah, that was amazing. That was something else. And that kind of started it all. Never looked back since.
Because I saw him on that tour at the Forum on the 3rd of June, which was the actual one that was broadcast live, the pay-per-view concert on Sky. It was called Live in Your Living Room, and then released on VHS later. I'm guessing that you've got a copy of that as well, like I do. Have you still got a VHS? Yeah. We've still got a VHS player, so that I can still play this. Yeah. And then he also played at the Royal Albert Hall as well on the 8th of June, but I didn't go to that one. And he said at the time, I'm an old-fashioned entertainer, but in a 90s styley, that's what I do. And rw.com website says, suddenly he was packing out venues and touts were selling tickets at double and triple their face value, which would still have only been about 30 quid. With his status soaring from ex-Take That star to credible solo artist, his predominantly female crowds were starting to bring their boyfriends, and a new fan base was promptly formed. Robbie was loving his life on the road. With a tight-knit band that doubled as a temporary family, they were all great friends, travelling from venue to venue on one bus with minimal security. Nothing had really changed with regards to the shows and the size of the venues. The biggest stage show was being saved for the forthcoming arena tour, which was being planned for early 99.
Yeah, and in his fanzine solo, he said, no matter how grueling a tour is, I find it really rewarding. It's a very special time for me and nothing's going to spoil it. I'm relaxed and I feel like I'm finally getting it right. This is the highest I've ever been. I'm on top of the world and I'm feeling great.
It's just funny that he says that because, like, most of the time he says he hates touring. So I do wonder whether that was real.
And that period was still a little bit iffy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe at that moment the quote was taken. He was feeling like that.
The Independent reviewed the show saying, "This is going to be Robbie's summer, with a rash of gigs lined up before he heads to Glastonbury, that mythical site where 3 summers ago he did first spatter dung on his squeaky clean Take That Brethren. He is striding like some latter-day Prince Hal to claim a crown of fame that actually fits him." I mean, how true is that quote?
Yeah.
Certainly became true, didn't it?
Definitely.
And the Times said in May 1998, "This was a show which marked the blossoming of a major star." So yeah, I went to the Live at the Forum concert, and I was about 3rd row, and we actually turned up quite late. But in those days, you used to be able to. People didn't queue at all. I think we even went to the pub before. We met at about 6. We went to the pub, probably turned up to the gig about 8, and then we were still about 3rd row.
I know how things have changed.
But that was the vibe then. It was like a real indie vibe. It wasn't a teeny bopper crowd. It was more of an indie crowd, I felt. And I can remember I was wearing my combat jeans because that was the fashion of the time, a la All Saints. Because I can remember fitting everything in all the pockets of my combat jeans.
Suddenly had pockets.
We should bring those back for gigs. They are ideal.
Yeah. And Matt and I recently rewatched the interview that Robbie did with Chris Evans before that concert, like literally in the dressing room before he went on stage. Well,
It seemed a little bit wired.
Yeah.
Let's say that. He was yes.
It was a very interesting interview.
He was a little bit strange,
Manic.
normal, and a bit manic, and a bit kind of eyes wide open. So it was a good job it was Chris Evans interviewing him, because Chris has got a way of working with that style, I think. And so they clicked quite well, considering that Robbie was high, let's say.
But basically, I think that the tour that me and you went to, Katie, on that, when you went to Aston Villa and I went to the Forum, I think basically it was just all leading up to the summer festival concerts that he did.
Yeah.
Just a rehearsal for those, really.
Right. So purposely smaller venues.
Just to get him used to performing on his own.
Rather than big, scary, arenas and... Yeah. Mm.
So he took to the Glastonbury stage on the 27th of June, and apparently in front of approximately 100,000 people. And
I was there, and I remember some of it. Not necessarily all of it, but I do remember some of that Glastonbury weekend.
But he knows he saw Robbie, but he's not sure he can really remember anything about it.
This was a long time ago. I was 23, now 45. And what I do know is that was known, and I think still is known, as one of Glastonbury's wettest and muddiest ever. And it was the year when some people's tents were even flooded by sewage, and there's all these horrible pictures of tents with this sort of much water around them. And it was a pretty difficult place to walk around. But I've been to Glastonbury quite a few times, and particularly in the late 90s and early noughties. And even my dad tells me stories of when he went in the 70s, where it was just a bunch of people in a band on the back of a trailer. But interestingly, coming to Robbie, I think Glastonbury back in the day, not so long ago, used to get a bit tetchy about so-called mainstream pop stars taking the main stage. You used to have to be sort of cool and in a particular set. And so, but the good thing is that Glastonbury's continued to be quite progressive and reinvent itself. And I think Robbie was definitely one of those early trailblazers, on the main stage. And he gave an incredible performance. I mean, he must have been shitting himself. That's clear. I mean, the Glastonbury audience can be quite a scary bunch, especially on the main stage. You know, there's a proper mosh pit at the front. It was pretty crazy back in those days. But everyone got right behind him. The whole crowd, everybody. And most people were singing the words to most of the songs, especially Angels. I mean, that was just a standout moment to hear, you know, tens of thousands of sticky, sweaty festival goers covered in mud joining in unison. It was like a really, special moment, actually. So, yeah, it was good. And I made a note of a few of the songs that we think he sang, because it's pretty hard to find the set list. And obviously, in those days, there were no phones, didn't really have a camera on me. So, but we know that he sang Let Me Entertain You, Life Through a Lens, South of the Border, Back for Good, Old Before I Die. He sang There She Goes by the Laws, the cover, and the sun came out when he sang that. And of course, he finished with Angels. But I don't remember the set being all that long. I reckon he was there for about maybe an hour-ish. And he didn't talk too much. I think he was quite, he did talk, but I think he was quite nervous and just kind of got on with the songs and gave a good show.
Well, one of the things he did say was, last time I was here, I got the sack. Thank fuck for that.
Yeah, well, yes. Of course, he had to get that in. And he was there with Liam Gallagher, I think, before.
Before, yeah. In 95, yeah.
So, I mean, that year, other acts included people like Blur, Pulp, Chemical Brothers, and Melody Maker said, so screw that. He's such an entertainer. Cliche spewed out by everyone who falls victim to his cannonball genius. He's not an entertainer. He's entertainment itself. He will take over everything. Expect the Bacon McRobbie when he consumes McDonald's. Expect Robbie Soft Explorer when he chews up Bill Gates.
So that's a pretty good quote from Melody Maker, isn't it? Considering how snobbish they were.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think going to Glastonbury, and he and his management knew it, was make or break. It could have gone one way or the other with the critics, and especially with, as I said, the audience are not very forgiving at Glastonbury. So the fact that they really got behind it, loved it, it went so well. It was the talk of the festival.
I was rereading Robbie's 2010 book, You Know Me, and he's got a quote about Glastonbury. He said, Glastonbury wasn't something that I was looking forward to. It hadn't been that long ago that I was considered an embarrassment in those circles. Here I was turning up as an act, and I wasn't sure whether they were going to bottle me off stage. It felt like putting your head in the lion's mouth. I remember standing at the side of the stage waiting to go on, with all these thoughts running through my mind about who I was and what I meant to these people, and the anticipation and fear of being accepted or not. I was also in the middle of learning the craft, learning who I am as a performer, and I think after the first or second number I thought, they're buying this, great. It felt very triumphant, and by the time of Angels I'm told that it was the biggest ever assembled audience at the main stage. It had also been raining, and that was the first time the sun had appeared. So that's Robbie's thoughts on his Glastonbury performance, and his only Glastonbury performance, because he's never been back.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
Would you go, Katie, if he performed there?
I don't know, because he'd be the only person that I'd want to see, and it's pretty expensive.
As I've always said to Matt, that I would only go to see Robbie and then I'd leave.
Yeah. It's just something I know a lot of people go, a lot of people love it. It's just never been a sort of thing that I've been like, I've just never been that bothered. I think, like I say, if he did do it, I'd kind of be like, I'm kind of done now. I've seen who I wanted to see.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand both your points of view. Whereas I love the eclectic mix of music that's there. There's absolutely everything there. Every style, every genre of music, established acts, new acts. And so it's a great place to go and see lots and lots of different music and artists. including Piss artists and various other artists. But yeah, it is hard work. I mean, the camping and the mud that year made everything difficult. Everything. Just going from one stage to another took you hours because you had to avoid great lakes of shit and mud, and it was not nice. But then you just forget about it. When you see a performer like Robbie on stage, you just stood there, you're with a group of friends, and you remember some of it. But yeah, it was good. So Dominic Monaghan in The Sun stated, it was the moment he transformed from a joke figure to superstar. He pulled it off. That was his metamorphosis. Wow.
And his band at the time was Alex Dixon on guitar, Chris Sharrock on drums, who obviously went on to be in BDI with Liam Gallagher, Claire Worrell on keyboards, Phil Isler on bass, Gary Nuttall on lead guitar, and Guy on keyboard and rhythm guitar. And then later that summer, he played V98 in front of 55,000 people. Ready for the Who Ate All the Pies chant, he had a stack of pasties on stage and hurled them into the crowd to prove that he hadn't eaten them all. That's so Robbie, isn't it? Apparently, Mark Owen was there watching and said, he was very good, there was lots of energy and he really got the crowd going.
Robbie loves a prop, doesn't he? I actually went to the Chelmsford one. Yeah, I was at the Chelmsford V, and I was there. I don't have great memories of it. I do remember the pies being thrown out. But he was alongside the most, if you look up V98, he was alongside the most incredible lineup for a festival I've ever seen. And I've only listed a few here, but you had Robbie, you had The Verve, you had Green Day, Charlatans, Stereophonics, loads more. It was just like, I was in my element because all my favourite bands were there. So,
well, the Colchester Evening Gazette said, the man-child is the best entertainer this country has produced in years and can work a crowd like no one else. He provoked a reaction like no other act over the 2 days, and that is saying something. The whole weekend still belonged to James Brown, Richard Ashcroft and Robbie Williams.
That's good company to be lined up with, isn't it? Wow. And the Daily Telegraph said about V98, much was expected of the girl group All Saints on their first festival experience, but a pie-chomping cherub in a tuxedo stole the show at Temple Newsam near Leeds.
So yeah, and then one other little fact that I found out last week, my cousin was working at Liverpool Royal Court during this era, and he says that when Robbie came to Liverpool Royal Court the second time, so in August 98, that was the only small date he did just before Tea in the Park or something, I think. He was really excited because Julie Goodyear had been in the dressing room before him at the Christmas, and they'd redecorated it for her, especially for the panto, because it had been a horrible dressing room the first time he'd been there, almost like just a backstage area with like just black sort of boards and dividers, but they turned it into a proper dressing room for Julie Goodyear to do the panto. So it had a pink bath and everything was pink, and
like this room.
Yeah. And my cousin said that Robbie was going around taking photos of himself in the pink bath and things, and found it all very exciting, apparently.
Ah.
Okay, well, the set list at the time had 15 songs, 2 more than the previous tour, with Let Me Entertain You, I Wouldn't Normally Do This Kind of Thing, Clean, South of the Border, Baby Girl Window, One of God's Better People, There She Goes, Killing Me, Life Through a Lens, Teenage Millionaire, Lazy Days, Ego A Go-Go, Old Before I Die, Angels, and Back for Good, Robbie's version. So he ended with that killer Back for Good. So yeah, I think that's it. You'll be pleased to know, Katie, and all the listeners.
Anything you wanted to cover, Katie, that we haven't covered that you wanted to say?
I mean, I'd quite like to talk about the forgotten festivals of Matt Champion, but I think that's for another podcast.
Well, just remembering that I went was a challenge, let alone what happened.
He only worked it out this week that he actually went to V98.
It was a hazy period, Katie, you know. So.
I think it was a hazy period for Robbie as well, so, you know, you've got that in common.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, mobile phones and Facebook and stuff doesn't go back that far. And like you two probably got diaries and stuff. I did have diaries and things, but God knows, I don't know whether I've still got those. So I can't actually check. I've got to ask some other people about it. But
Is it probably a good thing there is no photo or video evidence of it?
yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. Let's just say that, yes.
Just draw a line right there.
So, just before we wrap up this episode, make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out. And also, Lucy and I would really appreciate it if you can leave us a star rating. You can do this on both Apple and Spotify podcasts. We would also love it if you could write us a short review, and you can do this on Apple. Don't forget, you can check out our episode notes for each episode and links to all tracks and videos at robbiewilliamsrewind.com. You can also email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. Please also follow and chat on our social channels. It's at RewindRobbie on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok. And you can also like and follow our Facebook page, Robbie Williams Rewind. And before we return to this episode, you might also consider sending us one of your own Robbie stories for the show. Just record a short audio clip on your phone and email it to us. Please check the website for more details. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie Williams, and you're listening to Robbie Williams Rewind with the Champions.
So before we say goodbye to Katie, we're each going to pick a favourite song from the album, which we'll put on a Spotify playlist. My pick is going to be Teenage Millionaire.
I thought so.
Katie, what would you like to choose?
It's going to have to be Get the Joke.
Ah,
Good choice.
good choice. And I'm going to go Average B-side.
Very good song. That was my other option.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we'll put those on a playlist. Not sure what it's going to be called yet, that playlist, but we will.
We'll put it on the website. We'll put it on the socials.
Yeah.
It'll be out there.
So thank you very much, Katie, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Thank you for having me on.
I think we're going to be meeting up again for another episode coming soon. People will find out which episode Katie will be on at a later date. We'll
Great.
keep that secret for now.
Keep people thinking about that.
Yeah. Right, so I think on the next episode, we'll be talking about I've Been Expecting You.
Yeah.
And our lovely friend Sarah will be joining us for that one.
Make sure you subscribe and give us a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. Yeah, as we said before, give us a few episodes more before you start judging us too harshly. Find us on Twitter and Instagram at RewindRobbie, or join our Facebook group, Robbie Williams Rewind, or you can email us at email@robbiewilliamsrewind.com. So, yeah, thank you, Katie, once again. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Robbie Williams Rewind.